I thought today maybe we'd talk about creative burnout. And so when I say creative burnout, I mean the type of burnout where just thinking about making something is exhausting. I know that feeling pretty well because I just went through it for about 6 months, and I thought it was only fair to share a little bit about that experience with you guys. Maybe talking about it and sharing it openly and honestly could help somebody navigate the same thing in a better way. First of all, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Casey. I'm an artist, an illustrator, printmaker, a creator. I do a lot of this and that. I'm basically figuring out how to be an artist online and sharing my experience in the hopes that I can help other people explore their art and creativity, that kind of thing. I'm on a mission to kind of make up for the years that I suppressed my creativity and thought that I wasn't good enough or smart enough or whatever enough to do any of this. So if that's something that interests you, or if you have some of those same feelings about yourself and your own creative work, then go ahead and subscribe and we'll navigate this together. If you have been here before, if you've watched my videos before, thank you for sticking around and for sticking it out on this journey with me. I know I've kind of gone dark over the past couple months, and that's something that I never planned on doing, but I honestly could feel it coming for a while. So you may have noticed in the spring, I decided to give myself a 22-day print challenge where I was going to draw, carve, print, film, edit, and post one lino cut print process per day. And I ended up doing about 17 days of that process, and then full stop, ended it without even really saying I ended it. I didn't finish it, and I learned a lot throughout that process. I thought maybe I could try and kickstart some sort of creative productivity, but looking back now, it's pretty easy to see that I was really I was hanging by a thread, basically, creatively and from a mental health aspect. I was pouring everything into making art and sharing it online, and everything was riding on it. In March, I missed a mortgage payment, and April, I was set up to do the same, and I had no idea what I was gonna do. To be honest with you, a lot of 2023 and the beginning of 2024, that's how I functioned. It was, I don't know where my next paycheck is coming. I don't know what my next gig is gonna be. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pay my bills this month. I don't know if I'm gonna have any financial security at all. That was eating away at me. Plain and simple. I felt like I had to make something work so badly. The really backwards thing about that is that the whole reason I started making stuff and sharing it online anyway was because it was making me feel better. I was going through a super stressful period, and I have a separate video where I talk about how I got started with all of that, and I'll link it below. But basically, I lost my job and I kind of was having this identity crisis. So I started making art as a way to just soothe my soul, to feel better. And then I was sharing it because I was like, oh, well, this makes me feel good. Maybe this will make other people feel better to watch and enjoy. So for the evolution of that to turn into me in this grind set of making stuff like a machine and being miserable and super stressed out and losing sleep, feeling so low and defeated, and the irony was too much. It was really, yeah. So I was specifically struggling with the fact that I had this online store where I was selling my work and it wasn't selling. I also in 2023 did multiple art markets, which honestly, huge respect and props to anyone who does any in-person events as an artist or creative or craftsperson or anything. Putting your stuff out there like that in that capacity where people will literally walk in and you can visibly watch them look at your stuff, not be into it, and then give you a and then walk away, I thought I was gonna lose my mind. Every time I did a vendor event, I left the event in full-blown meltdown. And shout out to my family and my partner for just being so patient with me during that time period. They helped me with all aspects of that, and from setup to tear down to just manning the booth while I went and cried. I'm saying all this now and laughing now because looking back, it was so obvious to me that all I needed was just to step back and take a breath and kind of ask myself what I really wanted to do, but I just couldn't. I just felt like I have to go. I have to make this work. I have to sell. I have to make money. I have to hit a certain goal. I have to do this, that, and the other. And you know, the business aspect of my art was suffocating me. I realize now that tying my income to my art pulled all of the joy and all of the healing and all of the positive aspects out of it for me. And that's not to say that it's that way for everyone, but that's how I was feeling. So in April, I decided to close my online shop. I ran a 44% off sale, and you guys showed up in a way that I still have a hard time describing how impactful that was to me. I ran this sale with kind of this defeated mindset of like, I have to stop. I have to do something else. I have to step away to just get my head above water. And you guys showed up and you bought everything. You sold me out. You helped me clear space mentally, physically, emotionally, and it was so cathartic to be able to send that stuff off to people who wanted it and who liked it, rather than just have it sit here and just remind me of everything that wasn't working. And in turn, you guys ordering my stuff, my prints and stickers and merch, etc., you helped me pay my mortgage for March and April. You helped me take the month of April to tie up the loose ends on all of it and to kind of just take a breath for the first time in a long time. And I am so forever grateful to each and every one of you for what you did. And even if you didn't purchase anything during that time period, just for being here for me, it's just something I never thought would happen. I apologize that it took me this long to acknowledge it. I wanted to do something so special to say thank you. And every time I thought about it, I would just get completely overwhelmed trying to show my appreciation. And I sincerely apologize that I didn't say thank you more. So I'm taking the time now to say thank you, because you changed my life. You changed the trajectory of everything yet again. You've done that. And you know, it's not lost on me that could have gone a completely different way if it wasn't for you guys. After I closed up my shop, there was nothing left. So I didn't know what to do with myself. And to be honest with you, that was probably a good thing, because what I also didn't realize was happening was I started to really, really resent lino cut printmaking. I started to really, really resent lino cut printmaking, which is basically the whole way that I built all of this anyway, which is the basis for about 95% of my content. And that became a little troublesome because I started to feel super boxed in creatively. And a lot of that was self-imposed. I felt like people only expected this one thing of me. I wanted to kind of spread my wings and learn and do more stuff. And I just felt like I had these eyes on me, that there was an expectation for me to stay within this lane, and I was getting restless. I didn't understand that feeling. I also was feeling resentful and restless that I basically was living my dream of being a full-time artist, working as a creative person in the world, making money, hopefully, and supporting myself for the most part. But I was miserable. So what was that about? I felt like, oh, okay, cool. So if this doesn't make me happy, then probably nothing will, because this is the thing that I thought was gonna like fix everything and make me like who I meant to be. And then to be in the thick of it, operating this business, selling my work, making stuff, sharing it, having my value directly correlate to, in my mind, the effectiveness of my marketing of myself, that was brutal. So I stopped, I just stopped. I had to really look at the fact that I started doing printmaking because I thought it would be fun. I never thought it would be the thing that carried me through all these years. I thought I was gonna be mixing it up, doing a bunch of different things. I added things in here and there, but lino cut was really the bread and butter. Like, I knew that I needed to post carving videos, relaxing videos, like ASMR videos of me carving linoleum or me doing printmaking. I knew that was really why everybody was here. That was making me so anxious and like claustrophobic almost, because I felt like I couldn't step outside of that box. Like something was holding me there. Now I realize it was just the fear of rejection, or people being like, I'm not really into that. I'm not really into this new thing you're doing. Even though that's a perfectly natural evolution of just being a human, is like, oh, you do something for a while and then you adjust, or you find something else and you merge them together, and you evolve and you grow and all of that. It's like, it's just so natural to like who we are and what we do. But for some reason, even just introducing that thought into the equation, it was just not happening. I just wasn't gonna, I couldn't fathom it. I wasn't even looking to enjoy or explore anything new at all, because I just felt like I had to do something to make money. I think it's like a tale as old as time. I'm willing to bet that there's probably many people who got into similar circumstances, not even with art or content, but just something in general you think is going to be the thing. That's the thing that's the thing you're meant to do, meant to be. And then you get into it and you're like, oh, actually this is painfully difficult. At a certain point, after stepping back, after slowing down, it was pretty obvious that I needed to kind of look internally and figure out, what do I want to do and where do I want to take this? Because there was no North Star, there was no navigation before. It was just kind of like, well, this is what we're doing today. So I started to realize that just making things is all I really want to do. And then sharing about making things, or sharing how I made things, just felt natural to me. I enjoy that. It's energizing to me to share helpful information or new information with other people. And maybe that's all that I want. That's fine. That's more than fine. That's great, because that takes all that other pressure off. Removing the tie between my financial life and my art is what I had to root out. And I also acknowledge that that doesn't mean that I won't find a healthier way to approach that in the future. And shout out to my therapist and my psychiatrist and my friends and family and my boyfriend for just riding it out with me in such a supportive way. Sometimes I feel so dramatic in the way that I process feelings and emotions and circumstances, because I feel things really intensely and I want to talk about them and pick them apart and process them in ways that sometimes I don't see a lot of other people doing. They've just been such great sounding boards for me to kind of work through this out loud. That's what I'm hoping to do here. Is we're ending a chapter, or we're closing a book basically on that haphazard, chaotic way of doing things, and now I get to have more intention with what I do moving forward and what I create and how I connect with you guys. So through that, my art changed too. I started wanting to sketch and get ideas out onto paper. And I also really felt thirsty for experiencing and taking in other people's art. And I started to seek out inspiration. And it makes sense in my brain to go through these periods where we're not creating, but we're taking in other people's creations and processing them and kind of filling the cup so that we can pour it back out again. You know, that's like a never-ending process that I never really thought about before. Before I was pushing to create. And it's not surprising to me now that I burn out. I mean, I wasn't stopping to take any time to find inspiration at all. But I'll be honest with you. Now, I've come to this place where I don't know how to come back. And I don't know what to do. And I do feel and I know in my heart that I'll figure it out. I'll know how to come back. And I guess this is me coming back. And I'm nervous about how weird this video is because it feels weird to me. All of this has felt so weird and so different than how I was operating before. It's vulnerable and it's, you know, it could potentially be overshare, something that people aren't looking for from me. But that's okay because this just feels important to talk about. I really feel very different than the person that I was 6 months ago, 8 months ago, a year ago. I love connecting with you guys and hearing your stories, sharing what I'm working on with you. I think the more that kind of the numbers grew, the more I felt like, oh, well, I can't just try things anymore. Now I have to show up knowing things or being good at things, but that's not me. I also discovered that I always want to be learning and I always want to be curious and I always want to be trying new things. I never want to be the authority or the expert. I have no desire to ever be that about anything. I am just figuring everything out in real time, and I want to get back to that. So all of that to say, I did end up picking up some freelance work, some freelance creative work where I'm able to work on design and illustration for brands. I'm so grateful for that. I mean, that's one of many good things that came out of all of that chaos is I was able to create somewhat of a body of work, enough that people were interested in what I had to say or do or make, you know, enough that they want to see more. In a professional setting, that's more than I could ever ask for. And now I feel so much more confident in my abilities there. And I'm so grateful for also the brand collaborations that have transpired. You know, there were brand collaborations that I took on in the spring, and then throughout this process of just completely restructuring my whole creative process, these projects were due. So I was putting things out in the midst of this unknown thing. I'm super grateful for those opportunities. I mean, it did feel a little weird that I was, you know, like in the middle of this basically no man's land of posting and content, and then I was just like popping in with a quick little with a quick brand collab, but you know, it is what it is, and that taught us a lot too. So I'm excited about what's coming, and I'm excited to be back here, and I'm excited to just kind of move forward with this new perspective and new outlook, and with a lot of the pressure off of me and you. I want this to be a space that we both enjoy and not something that feels like, you know, an uneven give and take. Hopefully you've been doing okay. I have missed you very much, and I hope that things are going well with your creative process too. If you have experienced burnout or creative block, I would love to hear about it. You know, if you can relate to any part of this, I would love to hear your thoughts. I would also love to hear your ideas for what comes next. I do want to do more stuff like this, vlogs, tutorials, process videos, Q&As, that type of thing. I'm definitely not without ideas. I have lots of ideas. Sometimes that can kind of like be a little paralyzing, but we'll be okay. We're gonna be good. And this is me holding myself accountable so that we can make sure that that happens. Also, important to clarify that I'm not finished with lino cut printmaking or block printing at all. I just had to kind of come to terms with the fact that I was having a little bit of resentment about that, and that has made it easier to come back to it now. All in all, I feel like the last 6 months were about 10 years. And maybe you didn't even notice I was gone, but I noticed, and it's loud and it's looming. We're back, we're different, we're healing, we're trying, we're just figuring it out always. So thanks for watching this one. Thanks for hanging in there with me in all ways, in every way that I've mentioned. I love you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.